Hello, first graders. Welcome back to our third session of the book Boats In. Yesterday, we read the middle of the story. In the middle of the story, the main character tries to solve his or her problem. Remember, Jesse's problem was that he couldn't afford to buy the book that he wanted from the floating library, from the book boat. How did he try to solve his problem? Let's look back at the pictures. Do you remember how he tried to solve his problem? You made predictions about that during the first session. Were your predictions correct about what Jesse would do to solve his problem? What did Jesse do? Okay, can you turn and tell Mom and Dad what happened in the middle of the story? How did Jesse try to solve his problem of not having enough money for the book? Okay, turn and talk to Mom and Dad or brother and sister and tell them. Yes, Jesse took his father's advice. He went to the shop owners and the horse stable owner, and he did odd jobs for them. He cleaned the store, he cleaned the harnesses for the horses, he ran errands, he did all kinds of jobs to earn money. But at the end of the week, he still didn't have quite enough money. He needed 20 cents and he only had 17 and a half cents. Okay, let's find out what happens next. Let's find out what happens at the end of the story. And let's make a prediction. Okay, at the end of yesterday's reading, Pa and Jesse were heading to town. And how did Jesse feel as he was heading to town? Who remembers that new word we learned? Fidgety. Jesse was fidgety. He couldn't wait to get there. And he was anxious too. He was worried that the book would be gone, or maybe the boat would be gone, and he wouldn't have a chance to buy the Swiss Family Robinson. Let's make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen at the end of the story? Do you think Jesse will be able to buy the book that he so badly wants? Turn and tell Mom and Dad or brother and sister what you think is going to happen at the end. Will Jesse's problem be solved? Okay, let's read to find out whether your prediction is correct or not. Okay, we call this confirming our predictions. That's when our predictions are correct. We can confirm them. Or when they're not correct, we have to revise them. We have to change them. Okay, let's find out what happens at the end of the story. And remember, the end of the story is where the character's problem is usually solved. Take this off. When they got to town, Jesse raced down to the wharf. There was the book boat and Mr. Edwards talking to one of the dock hands. "Catch your breath, son," Mr. Edwards said. "I'm here until tomorrow. Let's see your hands." And again, Jesse showed him the palms and the backs of his hands. Jesse held out his hands. "All right," Mr. Edwards said. "Go on in. I'll be right there." Jesse went straight to the table, but the red-covered book wasn't there. How does Jesse look? Yeah, He looks sad. And what's that word that we learned last year for when you're expecting something? And when something doesn't work out the way you're expecting it, how do you feel? And actually, we talked about it at the beginning of this year when we read the cardboard piano. Do you remember? Yes, disappointed. Yep, Jessie feels disappointed because the book is gone. Not on the table, not on the shelves. The book wasn't there. Mr. Edwards, he said, the book I wanted, where is it? Gone, Mr. Edwards said. I sold it yesterday. Jessie turned his head, squeezing back tears. After all his hard work? How about this instead? Mr. Edwards pulled a brown-covered book from beneath the counter. Jessie shook his head. No, thanks. Just take a look. What do you think this brown-covered book is? And why doesn't Jessie even want to look at it? Let's find out. To be polite, Jessie took the book. A smile began at the corners of his mouth and grew bigger and bigger. Why do you think Jessie has a smile on his face? What do you think the book is? How many of you said that you think it's the same book, The Swiss Family Robinson? Yeah, I think that would make Jessie so happy that he would get a huge smile on his face. Let's see if we're right. A smile began at the corners of his mouth and grew bigger and bigger. The Swiss Family Robinson, he said. I got it in a trade, Mr. Edwards said. It's been read more than the other one, but because it's more worn, I can let you have it for less. How much? Mr. Edwards rubbed his chin. How does 14 cents sound? Done. Jessie counted 14 cents into Mr. Edwards' hand. Thank you, he said. So there he is, and he even has some money left over. Mr. Edwards put the money in a little box. Then he pushed a quill pen and a little bottle of ink across the counter. Better put your name on it, he said. Jessie dipped the quill into the ink. Opening the book, he wrote inside the cover, Jesse King, his book, 1835. And there's Jessie writing his name inside the book. And that is the end, with an author's note, which we will read later. So what happened at the end of the story? Can you summarize the ending? Was Jesse's problem solved? Can you turn and talk to mom and dad or brother and sister and tell them what happened at the end of the story? Let's go back and look at the pictures. Well, starting right here. Let's retell it together. 1 week later, Jesse and Pa went back to town. Jesse raced toward the book boat. When he went inside, he ran to the table, but the book with the red cover was gone. Jesse felt so disappointed. But then Mr. Edwards suggested that he try this brown book, that he take a look at the brown book. At first, Jesse didn't even want to look at it. He was so disappointed. But when he took a look, he realized that it was the Swiss Family Robinson. Jesse was so happy. And because it was an older copy, he got it. He was able to buy it. He had enough money. And he even had money left over. And that is the end of the story. I hope you like this book, first graders. I am going to post a discussion question on Flipgrid, and you'll have a chance to respond. Okay, I hope you really loved the book, and I miss you, and I'm so glad that you listened to my story. I will see you next time. Bye.